Alright, guys, we're back with another chapter in Genesis. We're in Genesis chapter 5, where it talks about Adam's descendants, from Adam to Noah. And again, I mentioned yesterday that I might be butchering some names, so I do apologize, but I will give it the old college try. I'll do my best. And here we go. This is the written account of the descendants of Adam. When God created human beings, he made them to be like himself. He created them male and female, and he blessed them and called them human. When Adam was 130 years old, he became the father of a son who was just like him in his very image. He named his son Seth. After the birth of Seth, Adam lived another 800 years, and he had other sons and daughters. Adam lived 930 years, and then he died. When Seth was 105 years old, he became the father of Enosh. After the birth of Enosh, Seth lived another 807 years, and he had other sons and daughters. Seth lived 912 years, and then he died. When Enosh was 90 years old, he became the father of Kenan. After the birth of Kenan, Enosh lived another 815 years, and he had other sons and daughters. Enosh lived 905 years, and then he died. Then Kenan was 70 years old. He became the father of Mahalalel. After the birth of Mahalalel, Kenan lived another 840 years, and he had other sons and daughters. Kenan lived 910 years, and then he died. When Mahalalel was 65 years old, he became the father of Jared. After the birth of Jared, Mahalalel lived another 830 years, and he had other sons and daughters. Mahalalel lived 895 years, and then he died. When Jared was 162 years old, he became the father of Enoch. After the birth of Enoch, Jared lived another 800 years, and he had other sons and daughters. Jared lived 962 years, and then he died. When Enoch was 65 years old, he became the father of Methuselah. After the birth of Methuselah, Enoch lived in close fellowship with God for another 300 years, and he had other sons and daughters. Enoch lived 365 years, walking in close fellowship with God. Then one day he disappeared because God took him. When Methuselah was 187... Had a little bug. When Methuselah was 187 years old, he became the father of Lamech. After the birth of Lamech, Methuselah lived another 782 years, and he had other sons and daughters. Methuselah lived 969 years, and then he died. When Lamech, I'm not sure, was 182 years old, he became the father of a son. Lamech named his son Noah, and he said, "May he bring us relief from our work and the painful labor of farming this ground that the Lord has cursed." After the birth of Noah, Lamech lived another 595 years, and he had other sons and daughters. Lamech lived 777 years, and then he died. After Noah was 500 years old, he became the father of Shem, Ham, and Japheth. The story of Noah. Earth was no longer the perfect paradise that God had intended. It is frightening to see how quickly all of humanity forgot about God. Incredibly, in all the world, only one man and his family still worshiped God. That man was Noah. Because of his faithfulness and obedience, God saved him and his family from a vast flood that destroyed every other human being on earth. This section shows us how God hates sin and judges those who enjoy it. I do apologize. That last little paragraph, once it mentioned Earth was no longer the perfect paradise that God had intended, that was actually a subsection that is technically the precursor to chapter 6. So we understand it stops at Noah. We're going to get into the story of Noah tomorrow with chapter 6. And then I'll continue. So that was my bad. That was technically the man-made introduction of what will be chapter 6 of Genesis. And so when I just reflect on the timeline, the genealogy of Adam to Noah, I'm curious as to how many sons and daughters each one of them had. Because the fact that they said that they went on to have a bunch of sons and daughters. And then I also have questions about, like, specific timeline. Man, they used to live for hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years. And I just can't imagine. I mean, one, the blessing of that much time. Two, I feel like that much time and the nature of their lives would make it seem even longer. I mean, very, 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 very simple days. But maybe that's me misunderstanding just simply how closely they walked with God. Maybe they weren't simple days. Maybe they were deep in thought and, tremendous amounts of work, understanding that they didn't have the tools that we had. Although it does mention that when they introduce Adam and Eve, it starts to mention sons and people that were a part of that genealogy that were fantastic. What was it, with iron and tin working, or iron and bronze working? And so they're basically saying that specific tools already existed. So maybe my understanding of the biblical application to history and that understanding, maybe my timing is just off and I just don't have as great of a grasp of history as I thought I did. But again, that's just me. I just get wrapped up in more and more questions because I just don't know. And I think I'm thankful that I'm in a position to know what I don't know, or just simply know that I don't know. Not know what I don't know, but know that I don't know. If that makes sense. But other than that, I'll leave that there. Just continuing to reflect on, man, the long years that God blessed some people with, the long years that He blesses us with. It's much shorter than that, but I'm thankful for every day I get and the continued opening of floodgates and blessings that pour down on myself and my family, and just trying to share that with people I come in contact with every day. But on that note, I love you. Jesus loves you. Have a good night. God bless. And I will see you back here tomorrow for chapter 6 of Genesis, where we're going to talk about the flood. Have a good night, guys.